Okay. We, yes, we got the SEC power rankings. We got them up, right? The SEC power rankings. Oh, man. This is really the most bizarre power rankings I've ever had. But at the top, we got Georgia and LSU. You know why I got these two teams at the top? They're both 3-0, but they both did what it took to win. If you take a look at some stats, I couldn't believe these stats I saw earlier, but how many first downs Florida had against LSU's first downs? But LSU did what they had to do to win the game. The Apple turnovers were flying by Lagway and probably the play calling by Napier some. And we've all addressed that earlier. There probably should be a hotshot OC calling the plays at Florida, but Napier is going to call the plays. He's going to call the plays until the cows come home or till he gets fired. Billy Napier's at 1-2. He could still turn this thing around. However, a losing season at Florida in 2025 will write his ticket right out of Gainesville. There's no doubt in my mind. SEC power rankings, I know they look strange to you. Georgia, number 1 at 3-0. LSU 3-0 at number 2, and they're both going to remain right 1-2 until they lose. Auburn, oh my gosh, Auburn 3-0. Oklahoma 3-0. Texas A&M 3-0. And then you got a couple of undefeated teams like Missouri and Vanderbilt. Man, they're wanting to climb upstairs too. Texas is 2-1. Bama's 2-1. Bama lost to Florida State. The Gators are 1-2. I've got an article in our sports section at bigjreport.com that talks about the SEC power rankings. And yes, there they are, the top 5. We've not done the complete 16. And I've not talked about every other team. I mean, it looks like the Egg Bowl might be pretty good this year. Ole Miss, lo and behold, is 3-0, but I don't have them in the top 5. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, the knock I have on Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin is this. They run out of gas toward the end of every season. Almost every season they run out of gas. Now, as far as DeBoer goes at Alabama, man, they turned it around after losing to Florida State. Florida State was the first game, right? For Bama. Bama's 2-1. So Bama, they're going to be top 5 if they win the rest of their games. The Florida Gators could still be top 5 if they win the rest of their games. But, man, their margin for error is kind of thin. It's kind of thin. Meanwhile, I don't talk much ACC football, but Georgia Tech beat Clemson by 3 points. Look out for Georgia Tech. We've told people, we said, hey, man, they got a lot. They had a pretty good team last year, and they got a lot of players back off of last year's team. I'm not going to talk about all the SEC teams. I know Vanderbilt and Missouri, they're wanting to climb up into the upper echelon of the SEC, but they're not in the top 5 now. But those are the teams that are. Georgia 1, LSU 2, Auburn 3, Oklahoma 4, Texas A&M 5. Now, there's going to be a battle. Auburn is getting ready to play a really tough team next week. So you're going to learn more about Auburn. What is it next week? It's Alabama. I think it's Auburn and Oklahoma. It is. September the 20th, the 3:30 game. That used to always be the big one, right? Auburn and Oklahoma. That's a 3:30 game. Auburn and Oklahoma. Auburn is ranked 24th. As they try to read the small print, Oklahoma's 13th. Ole Miss has got Tulane. They've had some good years, but they've had some bad years too. Ole Miss ranked 17th. They got Tulane, but they're not in my top 5. I got Auburn in there. I got Oklahoma in there, but they both play next week. So one of them will fall out. Whoever loses that game, they'll fall out of the top 5. What about Tennessee, man? They get beat in overtime by Georgia. They're not in the top 5. They took a loss. They got vicious UAB next week. Tennessee's ranked number 15th. Arkansas plays Memphis. I don't want to talk about all the SEC teams. I really don't. Arkansas is not even ranked. If you're an SEC team and you're not ranked, man, you've got issues. Really got issues. But it's a long season. I mean, it was only Florida's first SEC game. For most teams, it was their first SEC game, right? But I got the top 5 laid out for you right now as of the moment. And we will eventually do all 16 probably this week because the games are in from the weekend. Georgia and LSU were top 2 because they did what they had to do to win their games. They won their games. You take a look at the Brian, what's the guy's name? Brian Kelly, coach at LSU. I've never really liked the guy, but I watched his press conference. He was proud of his team. They did what they had to do to win. On the other hand, I mean, I looked at some stats in the Gators, man, they had they had like double the first downs LSU had. But the Apple turnovers by Lagway, the penalties, the Gators had some terrible penalties, had a touchdown called back. And there you go. Georgia won, number 1 in the SEC right now. Georgia 3-0, LSU 3-0. Auburn 3-0, Oklahoma 3-0. Those two teams will meet next weekend. Texas A&M is 3-0. So one of those two, Auburn or Oklahoma, whoever loses that game, they're going to fall out of the top 5. But that's what we got as of now. We're brought to you by the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. Mad Max, a big Georgia Bulldog football fan, right? Mad Max. Georgia, we got them number 1 in the power rankings. LSU 2, Auburn 3, Oklahoma 4, Texas A&M 5 right now. But you got Vanderbilt, you got Vandy. They never, Vandy was never, they were not picked rock bottom. They were probably picked maybe 14 out of the 16 teams by me, maybe 14 or 15, probably 14. Mississippi State, they're even off to a good start, but they're not top 5 material. The Egg Bowl is going to be interesting because Ole Miss will be running out of gas toward the end of the year, and they'll play an Egg Bowl. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Ole Miss is undefeated. They're 3-0, and they win another game. They might crack the top 5 like an egg bowl, right? Oh, boy. So that's our top 5. We're brought to you by the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. Check out Mad Max's great request show. Absolutely fantastic request show. Max will have me on as a guest probably once or twice a month. We love going on Max's show, talking music primarily. We'll talk a little bit of sports. Jaguars do open the season. Well, they've already opened the season. The first regular season game, did it surprise you that the Jaguars beat the Carolina Panthers at home 26-10? Now they got game 2, the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Jaguars going on the road after winning at home. The Bengals, last I checked, are a 3.5-point favorite. The Bengals, did I say it wrong? The Bengals are actually a 3.5-point favorite. That's the home field. The Jaguars were like a 3.5-point favorite. And right before kickoff, it got up to 4.5 points. The Jaguars covered it. One of our main sources picked the Jaguars to win and cover. Now, our source is picking the Bengals to win the game and cover. And the Bengals, at last I checked, a 3.5-point favorite. They kick off at 1 o'clock in Cincinnati today. How do I feel about it? Well, the Jags traded their running back Tank Bigsby for a 5th and 6th-round draft pick, which I think is okay. That tells you the Jaguars and their GM, they're very confident in the backup, Bashal Tutin. And they've got another guy after that. They got, in the later rounds too. So they're happy with their backups. But maybe the trade's not made if ETN doesn't have a great game. He had over 140 yards rushing, 71-yard run mixed in there. And so ETN had a great first week. Will he have a good or even great second week? Time will tell. ETN and the top 5 running backs, I think ETN was number 2 after week 1. But the Jaguars are an underdog going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's about a 3.5-point favorite, and our source likes Cincinnati to cover and win the game. And, I'm not that fond of that. So we'll see what happens. Trevor had not a great first game, but, man, Liam Cohen wants him to be a point guard and distribute the football to all the wide receivers that they got. Brian Thomas Jr. took a little end around or pitch on an actual running play. Brian Thomas Jr. scored his first touchdown of the year. Where will Travis Hunter mix into all this? I don't know. And Trayvon Walker, he got pancaked on the very first play. I couldn't believe it. Watching the game, let me isolate on Trayvon Walker. He got pancaked on the very first play. However, DeJuan Smoot, I think, had a good game. It's going to be interesting all year long. Josh Hines Allen, what happened? I didn't see a lot of proficiency out of him the first week. The defensive backs, I liked him. The Jaguars only gave up 10 points against Carolina, but that was Carolina. Folks, that was Carolina. The Jags are 1-0. The Bengals are 1-0. Can the Jaguars steal one up in Cincinnati? If they do that, they'll start to make me a believer in this 2025 season. You got to play against Joe Burrow. And that D-line, they better come to play. The Jaguars D-line better come to play. Trayvon Walker can't get pancaked on the first play this week. If you go back and watch the film, you'll see what I'm talking about. Watch the film. You'll see. We're 11 minutes in. We're brought to you by the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Also by Saucer, my good friend Larry Saucer, Saucer Realty and Capital. I got tongue twisted there. But they're on our sponsors are on the ticker, MadMaxMix.weebly.com, Saucer Realty and Capital, and JC's great show. He's got a fantastic show. Mad Max has got a great show. Check out JC Live from the Pub on Thursday nights. Gets underway 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Mad Max and JC's show times are exactly the same, but they're on different nights. MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Mad Max is on Wednesday night, 6 to 8 Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And JC's show gets underway the very next night on Thursday nights, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Both great shows. Mad Max on Wednesday nights, JC's Live from the Pub show at Lake Eufaula Hits, LakeEufaulaHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. JC's show is on Thursday nights. I want to thank my executive producer, JC. Also, Alex Nunnery. Alex Nunnery is a producer of this show, but Alex is doing videos, high school football videos on this same channel. So check Alex out. Please subscribe to the channel. Then you won't miss any of the content. Got a lot of high school football scores up on Alex Nunnery's report. He goes to a high school football game almost every Friday night, and he'll take you right on the field. Isn't that right, JC? Our executive producer, Alex Nunnery, will take you right on the field. Our executive producer is JC. Alex Nunnery is a producer. And John Gaylor, Mr. John Gaylor, is a contributor and correspondent. We message a lot back and forth. JC and I talk on the phone from time to time. That's how I get a lot of info from JC, from John Gaylor, and even Alex Nunnery. Now, Alex might have had something because he was not too happy with Coach Billy Napier. And then look what the Gators did. They scored 10 points. But let me say this, in defense of Florida, I will say one thing in defense of Florida, that Gator defense has improved over the last year or two. You had a low-scoring game. LSU won the game. LSU 20, Florida 10. Baton Rouge is not an easy place to play. And you can't serve up apple turnovers when you're on the road in the SEC, particularly at LSU, in a night game in Baton Rouge. You see the top 5 there. My SEC power rankings, we haven't completed them yet, but I got a new top 5. Might be controversial. Georgia 1, LSU 2, Auburn 3, Oklahoma 4, Texas A&M 5th. Vandy and Missouri, they're wanting to climb up into that top 5. They're both undefeated too. And I don't want to talk about all the teams. There's some other teams that Ole Miss is 3-0. They might be running out of gas by the time the Egg Bowl comes around. Lane Kiffin's got a young team. But in Ole Miss's defense, usually, and they had to replace a lot of players from last year, and they got a young team. I would say this. I'd say Ole Miss this year could be a little different because the younger team should be progressing, and he's a good coach, Lane Kiffin. And there's a lot of good coaches in the SEC. I watched Brian Kelly's press conference for LSU and I saw Coach Billy Napier's too. Billy was very frustrated. Brian Kelly was proud of his team. And he was also telling you they did what they had to do to win. And LSU beat Florida 20-10. Georgia won their game in overtime, right? Yep. The Georgia Bulldogs won their game in overtime, 44-41. Georgia and LSU did both of what they had to do. And Auburn, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M are still undefeated. All these teams are 3-0 in the top 5. Wow, Auburn plays Oklahoma next weekend, so one of those two teams are going to fall out, and we'll have another team in there. It's going to change up. Sure is. We appreciate you tuning in. You are absolutely tuned in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. High school football, yeah, we'll talk some high school football. Ed White won again. Ed White beat Inglewood. The week before, Ed White beat Westside. Those are the teams Ed White beat are two of the worst teams in the city of Jacksonville. I hate to say it. Ed White did beat a good Trinity Christian Academy program, which is a little bit down this year. Ed White beat Andrew Jackson. That game was actually, Ed White is now 3-0. They were actually that Andrew Jackson win was considered, I think, a preseason game. So Ed White is actually 3-0 with wins over Trinity, a Trinity Christian Academy program, which has won multiple state championships, but they're a little bit down this year. Then Ed White not only trounced them, scored as many points as they wanted, and shut down and shut out Westside, and then did basically the same thing, and even worse to Inglewood, the Inglewood Rams. So that's some of what is going on in the high school football. We got most of the scores up. Lakeside School's kind of down in Alabama. They lost. Eufaula won, though. They beat Headland. Should we go for some of the scores, the high school football scores? We might do it. Did I had some, I'm testing out some of the music too. We're doing that. But let's take a look at some scores. Now we've got Auburn and Oklahoma. That could be a pretty good game. Oklahoma has already beaten Michigan. And I'm not saying Michigan is all world, but they've been pretty good over the last several years. It might have had a down season now and again, but Oklahoma does have a win over Michigan, and they're undefeated. That's why I've got them number 4. Number 4. 4 fingers up. 4 fingers. I got Oklahoma 4th. I never in my wildest dreams thought Oklahoma would be in our top 5 in the SEC, but man, they're a wild card and a dark horse. Texas A&M's 3-0. Auburn's 3-0. LSU is second in our power rankings at 3-0. Georgia, number 1, 3-0. Now, those top 2 teams, Georgia and LSU, we thought they would be there. But Auburn, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M, dark horses and early season surprises here in 2025. Concerts, Peter Frampton, October the 29th in St. Augustine at the amphitheater. We check concerts in the Neighbors 2 section at bigjreport.com. Now, do I really want to, and I think I will, and we want to thank our sponsors again, Saucer Realty and Capital, for your real estate needs in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. And there's links for Mad Max's show and JC's Live from the Pub show in the Neighbors 2 section at bigjreport.com. Yeah, and there's concerts up there. There's links to Mad Max's show and JC's show. Great shows, too. Mad Max on Wednesday night. This Wednesday night. JC will be on this and each and every Thursday night. So we're going to take a look at some high school scores real quick here. We got them up on the website. You can go to the website and get the scores. High school football in 2025. Big J report covering high school football. Ed White keeps rolling. Ed White 74, Inglewood nothing. A final, Beachside 33, Ponte Vedra 20. A final, I believe that's the game Alex Nunnery was at. Other high school football scores: final from Randy Warren Stadium, Fleming Island 41, the Orange Park Raiders 21. A final on Friday, September the 12th of 2025. Also, the Rains Vikings, they could be the best team in the city. Rains demolished Lake Mary from Central Florida. Rains 44, Lake Mary 3, a final. Ed White is a good football team, and they might be a very good football team, but they may be a notch below Rains, St. Augustine, and Bowles. But I'm excited. I went to Ed White, graduated from Ed White, and I'm excited that Ed White's having a good football season. It's going to get tougher as the season goes along, as far as the schedule goes. As far as the schedule goes for Ed White, no doubt about that. Rains 44, Lake Mary 3, a final. Another high school football score, Lake City, Columbia County. Man, this was a defensive struggle. A couple of good defensive teams, it looks like. Lake City, Columbia County, Florida Tigers 9, Madison County nothing. Low scoring game in that one. Again, it was Lake City, Columbia County, Florida Tigers 9, Madison County nothing. A very low scoring game. Some defense on Friday night, September the 12th, during Columbia County Lake City's victory over Madison County. Some other scores: Nice 22, Fletcher 6. Nice is where Tim Tebow played his high school football years ago. Nice 22, Fletcher 6, a final. Bowles proves why they're probably one of the top 2, top 3, top 4 teams in the city of Jacksonville. Bowles 36, Bishop Kenny nothing. Toccoa Creek 47, the Clay County High School Blue Devils 14, a final. Atlantic Coast 40, Sandalwood 37. Wolfson beat Kip. And Wolfson, they're fortunate to be winning a game, and they have. Wolfson 10, Kip Bold City nothing, a final. Wolfson will play Inglewood late in the year. That's another one they could win. Wolfson 10, Kip Bold City nothing, a final. Matanzas 36, Andrew Jackson 14. Mandarin, where Carson Beck went to high school, Mandarin 14, Bradford out of Stark 7. Mandarin 14, Bradford 7, a final. Creekside 28. Alex Nunnery's alma mater, Bartram Trail 14, a final. So Creekside wins that game. That was a big game. Creekside 28, Bartram Trail 14. PSF AS Paxton Eagles 35, Stanton Blue Devils 15, a final. Other high school football games on Friday night, September the 12th of 2025. Menendez 40, Terry Parker Braves 18, Ribault 25, Westside 6, a final. So I tell you, the Riverside Generals, formerly known as Lee High School, where my dad went to high school years and years ago, they gave St. Augustine everything they wanted. St. Augustine's got a really good team. Maybe St. Augustine and Rains are the top 2 in the Northeast Florida area, along with Bowles, perhaps. St. Augustine 47, Riverside Generals, formerly known as Lee High School 41. So St. Augustine won that one close, 47-41. Up in Georgia, Randolph Clay Red Devils 50, Calhoun County Cougars 6. Again, the Randolph Clay Red Devils 50, the Calhoun County Georgia Cougars 6, a final. Sherwood Christian 72, the Stewart County Georgia Royal Knights 12, Columbus, Georgia 49, Jordan High School 6, a final. Schley County, where Jim McFarland used to coach, and he coached Randolph Clay before Schley County. Schley County 28, Chattahoochee County, Georgia 0, Carver 33. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. Carver 31, Northside 12, no final. Up and over in southeast Alabama, Eufaula, Alabama Tigers 33, Headland 27, a final. Abbeville, Alabama Christian Academy 52, the Lakeside School in Eufaula, Alabama Chiefs 0. And those are some of the high school football scores from Friday night, September the 12th of 2025. That's not all the high school football scores, but a good amount of high school football scores. Go to our website at bigjreport.com. Scroll our homepage. You'll find North Florida news. And the high school football scores we put up are from Jacksonville, Duval, North Florida, some from South Georgia, Western Georgia, in that corner pocket of southeast Alabama. So some high school football scores. The SEC Power Rankings not complete, but we threw up a top 5 to see what you think. Give me your comments. Georgia's 1, LSU 2. These teams are all 3-0. Georgia 1, LSU 2, Auburn 3, Oklahoma 4, and Texas A&M 5. Auburn and Oklahoma will settle out something next weekend, though, because Auburn will play Oklahoma. Bama's 2-1, but I don't have them in the top 5. Florida's 1-2. They're not in the top 5. Vandy and Missouri are both undefeated, and they want to get up into the upstairs section of the Big J Report SEC Power Rankings, but they're not there yet. What about Tennessee? They're 2-1. Where would you put them? I mean, Tennessee lost to Georgia in overtime. Georgia 44, Tennessee 41. Again, LSU dumped Florida. LSU 20, the Florida Gators 10. And again, Georgia Tech over in the ACC. Georgia Tech had a pretty good team last year. Not a great team, but a pretty good team. They went to a bowl game, I believe. Georgia Tech's got a lot of players coming back, and they beat Clemson by 3 points. Florida State's another team you better keep an eye on. You know, you can say what you want about Coach Napier. I think the coach of Florida State's actually pretty good. He's got a winning record at Florida State. You know, he took over after the Willie Taggart disaster ended. Jimbo, I don't think did FSU a service probably his last year he was there. And then Coach Mike Norvell had a bad year in 2024 after being like in the top 10 in 2023, but he lost a lot of players to the NFL, you know, including Jarius Jones, who signed was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 3rd round in the 2024 draft. So Florida State lost some players to the NFL, and the wheels just fell off the cart for FSU in 2024. But they beat Alabama in 2025, and they got a shot at having a pretty good season. They'll play Florida later in the year. That's another tough game the Florida Gators will have to play. The Florida Gators are 1-2. Will the wheels come off at Florida, or will Coach Napier turn it around? Will Coach Napier be the coach next year at Florida? Give me your comments. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. The Jaguars play at the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite. Trayvon, don't get pancaked this week. Man, step it up a gear. You've been tuned into the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We've been eloquently produced by our executive producer, JC, also by Alex Nunnery, and our contributor correspondent, John Gaylor. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This has been a continuation now of episode show number 54. I may need to get a jersey number for 54. I didn't get a number 54 this go around. You guys have a great day. I'm your host, Scott. This has absolutely been the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Have a great day. Thank you again for watching.